Last October, in the immediate run-up to the midterm elections, former Vice President Joe Biden went to Michigan, and he went there to give a speech. He was collecting $200,000 from the Economic Club of Southwestern Michigan to address a Republican-leading audience. According to a speaking contract obtained by the New York Times in interviews with organizers, the group, a business-minded civic organization, is supported in part by an Upton Family Foundation. So Fred Upton is a representative in that area. Importantly, a Republican representative in that area. So it is odd that Biden was giving a speech to an organization that was linked with the Uptons. So he got that money, and while he was there, he spoke favorably of Fred Upton, specifically in an area that, of course, Joe Biden has sort of a special history in, and that has to do with fighting cancer. And he pointed out Fred Upton's bipartisan history, especially in this area, saying that he is one of the reasons that we are going to defeat cancer in the end. And because this happened just a couple of weeks before the election, if you're a Democrat in that area and you're trying to take out Fred Upton, and if you think he's one of the big targets, finally he could be eliminated, the former vice president, the Democrat, going there and giving a speech so favorable to him, that certainly looks bad. And yeah, he talked about the Upton's support for landmark medical research law, called him a champion in the fight against cancer, one of the finest guys I've ever worked with. And those remarks were quickly integrated into Republican advertisements, both in video form and in flyers, pointing out that these are his bipartisan credentials, Fred Upton. He's a guy that can work across the aisle. Look, even Biden likes him. And if you're one of the Democrats working in that area, you're very frustrated by that. So Eric Lester, a retired physician who chaired the Democratic Party in a county in that area during the midterm, said he viewed Biden's supportive remarks about Upton as a betrayal. Lester, who attended the speech, said he had confronted and aided Biden in the hallway, telling him the former vice president had badly damaged the Democratic cause. Now, importantly, Upton went on to win that election, I believe by about 4.6 points. So fairly close, especially historically for Upton.
No, very close. The Democrat could have won that election. We had a way, we picked up 40 seats. And so now let's do all the different angles here, because there's a bunch of different angles, including the trap that was laid for Biden that he fell into. So first off, credit where credit is due. I've complained before that the mainstream media, including the New York Times, does one critical piece after another about Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, but almost never touches the establishment candidates. Biden is an establishment candidate, and there's a critical piece about him. So okay, fair is fair. Nice work in being even-handed on that, okay? Number two, Biden messed up here, but I do feel a little bad for him, and I'll explain why, okay? So he has a bunch of rules that are really good rules about his speaking engagements. He doesn't talk to big banks. He knows that burned Hillary Clinton, okay? But at least he learned that lesson, right? He doesn't take money from foreign countries for his nonprofit. Good, that's another lesson from Hillary Clinton. He doesn't let schools pay if he's going to speak at a school with funds that come from the government or from extra fees charged to students. So those are all good things. Now, in this case, he should have known better, because it's $200,000, $150,000 for a speaking fee, and $50,000 in travel allowance. I don't know if he had to go around the world a couple of times to get there, but anyway, that's okay. And in the pamphlet, they clearly said that this will be, quote, to speak to primarily older conservative Republicans and local community members. So this was a speech designed for Republicans. So he goes to a close district, 6th congressional district of Michigan, and helps the Republican. I mean, I don't know if he knew how much it would help Upton, but when he called him one of the finest men I've ever known, they immediately, as John told you, took that and put it on television, on Facebook. They did memes around it, and the group called Defending Main Street spent a lot of money taking Biden's quote and running ads in favor of Upton. And then when his opponent asked for, his opponent was named Long John, asked for Biden to clarify and say, hey, no, I support the Democrat in the race, Biden wouldn't do it. Now, if you got paid $200,000, and then you say good things about that guy, and then you don't back the Democrat, I mean, they say Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. Bernie Sanders went around the country campaigning for dozens of Democrats in this election, trying to help them raise money, get awareness, win the elections. Okay, now
so Biden says that he did endorse a lot of Democrats as well.
He did.
And one Republican, kind of.
To be fair to Biden, he endorsed 135 Democrats. But then, on the other hand, if you endorse 135 and this guy asks for your endorsement and you don't do it, that also sends a message, right? And further fair to Biden, Upton is terrible on everything else, but he was great on the cancer bill. And Biden's son died from cancer. He cared. That's why he cared so much about that bill. I think for him to say, "Hey, we worked across the aisle," and Fred Upton should get a lot of credit for that. That's a fair statement. But when you're giving a ringing endorsement overall, well, that's a little bit of a different ballgame.
Especially when, in a slightly zoomed out view in that topic, in 2017 he helped craft a bill to repeal the Affordable Care Act. So okay, you're good on cancer, but you want to take away people's health insurance. So.
Yeah, that's disastrous. And finally, we get to the trap. So the Republicans invite him, give him $200,000. Then he uses quotes to help a Republican win the election. And then it's a different Republican group, America Rising, that does a Freedom of Information request to get the speech, which they know about, to then release the story out into the public so the New York Times covers it. So they laid a bear trap for Biden and he walked right into it, did what he normally does, he goes over the top and praising whoever he's talking about. And then they turn around and go, "You see that? He's such a bad Democrat." The Republicans are releasing this story telling us how bad a Democrat Biden is. Don't ever trust a Republican. I've said it on the show 1,000 times. And that is actually one of the problems of Joe Biden as a candidate. If he becomes president, what's he gonna do? He's gonna do the same thing Obama did, so that Biden has been doing for decades. Reach out to Republicans, hoping to get compromise and reasonable negotiations with them. That is not going to happen. The only thing they're ever gonna do is set a trap for you. And I'm not interested in having 4 more years of trying to reach out to Republicans. The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.